Adrian, you can start.
Oh, oh, oh. साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वप्रचोदयात् साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वप्रचोदयात् साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वप्रचोदयात् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. Chapter 13. Paramam Vichitram Lila Vibhudam. The miraculous Vibhuti. Vibhuti. What I materialize is the manifestation of divinity with a potent significance as well as symbolization. It is symbolic of cosmic, immortal, and infinite nature of all forms of God. Atma, or the spirit, is what is left when everything worldly or transient has burned away. In first place, it is the symbolic of the life-death cycle in which everything ultimately reduces itself to ash. For dust through art, and unto dust shall through returneth. Ash or dust is the final condition. It can undergo no further change. In the spiritual context, it constitutes a warning to the recipient to give up desires, vernal passions, attachments, and temptations in the fires of worship, which makes one pure in thought, word, and deed. It is a symbol of divinity, Baba. Vibhuti cancels cancer. Once an advocate arrived at Prashanti Nilayam. He was a chronic smoker. Cancer afflicted his throat. Doctors advised surgery, along with radiation and chemotherapy. He desired to obtain Swami's permission before the commencement of the treatment. On arrival, the ever-merciful Bhagavan invited him into the interview room, asking to hold his palms together to form a bowl. He materialized and poured a large quantity of vibhuti into them and asked him to eat it all. It was dark in color and tasted like bitter gourd. Swami affectionately cajoled and persuaded and helped him to finish it. After the interview, the man walked out and went into the canteen for a cup of coffee. As he was at it, his eyes fell on nearby pakodas, a savory dish, crisply fried in oil. Unable to resist, he ate a plateful. Due to the pain in his throat, he had not been able to, for a long time, eat properly despite his keen desire and strong taste for food. But now he noticed that he could eat comfortably and relish it. He was surprised. With his finger, he probed inside his mouth at the cancer-affected spot. He felt no pain at all. He realized that the cancer had gone. He was overwhelmed. Tears flooded his eyes as he remembered Bhagavan's mercy. When on the next day, also Swami called him into the interview room, he expressed his gratitude to Swami and fell on his feet. He told Swami that he was proficient in Sindhi and begged to be permitted to translate and publish a Sindhi edition of Sanatana Sarathi. Swami replied, "It is only for that purpose that I have made you come to Puttaparthi." From then on, the blessed person has been translating and publishing Sanatana Sarathi in Sindhi. Tonopolo. Tribal leader surrenders to him. Before its reconstitution, the region now called Arunachal Pradesh was formerly a part of Assam. Most of its people are tribals. They were demanding a separate state for themselves and were carrying on guerrilla warfare against the government of Assam. Government made every effort to please them and win them over. It spent crores of rupees in their territory on development programs, hospitals, roads, schools, and other facilities. Still, the tribals were not satisfied and continued with their separatist demand. In this situation, one of the tribal leaders fell ill with an undiagnosed disease. Government gave him plenty of medical assistance. It got medical tests carried out in reputable hospitals in Calcutta and New Delhi. Nothing helped. He was not able to eat anything at all. Whatever he used to eat, he he wouldn't. His friends and relatives lost all hope. Sri Raja, Home Secretary in the state, had an idea if that the patient could be taken to the divine presence of Bhagavan Sai Baba, it might help. Permission was sought from the government of India. Ultimately, a group of 29 persons, including the ailing tribal leader, set out in the name of All India Tour, Bharat Darshan, and reached Puttaparthi. As they seated themselves in the audience hall, Swami went to them directly and asked in Hindi, "Where are you from?" The secretary replied that they were from Assam. Swami said in English, "Go inside." So they all trooped into the interview room, walking, no doubt, but almost like running in their delight and eagerness. After public audience was over, Swami came into the interview room. He materialized Vibhuti, gave it to the tribal leader, and directed him to eat. He sat on his throne and inquired, "What brings you here?" The secretary explained. "We have come for your darshan. The tribal leader is having some stomach trouble. No treatment helped. Medical tests conducted in Calcutta and Delhi failed to identify the disease. He is unable to contain any solid food. As a result, tribal people of that region have lost faith in our medical system and procedures and hospitals. This man is a prominent tribal leader, and only you can heal him." Swami assured him, "Don't worry, it will be fully cured." Then Swami began to talk to tribal visitors in their own language. He talked of their village and their environment. He mentioned how the villagers had thought of building a temple for the sun god and the moon god. As he talked, Swami materialized an intricately engraved circular copper plate 9 inches in diameter. On one side the sun, and on the other the moon were carved. He drew their attention to the delicate craftsmanship of the plate and declared that the temple proposed to be built would become known as Dono Polo, meaning the sun and the moon in their tribal language. He directed the astonished tribals to install this copper plate in the temple and worship it regularly. He said that worship of God is always beneficial. He blessed them with the Vibhuti Prasadam and the privilege of touching his lotus feet. The tribals took leave of him with hearts overflowing with joy and happiness. Then they made their way to the canteen for refreshments. Their leader saw some white circular pieces of food and asked that they be served to him. The pieces are known as idli, a rice and black gram preparation. His companions were afraid that this solid food might cause vomiting or terrible stomachache as usual. However, since Swami had granted him divine assurance, they hesitatingly allowed him to consume idli. A plate of idlis and the accompanying sauce was finished by him in seconds. While his companions watched in unbelieving astonishment, this man who had not tasted any solid food for several years ate idli after idli, a good 32 of them. The group felt it was miraculous and enjoyed every bit of it. The leader told his friends, "This is no ordinary man. With a little vibhuti, he has completely cured me. Within minutes of the disease I had suffered for years and years. There is no doubt he is God incarnate." He talked of the temple Donopolo we are planning to build for our favorite deities and created the two images. Let us surrender to him and strictly follow every word of what he said. Bhagavan Sai's divine vibhuti healed the tribal leader in moments. When we hear about this magnificent episode and Bhagavan's love and benevolence so readily and profusely showered, we are moved to bow our heads in obeisance to him.
Wondrous potency of Vibhuti. Vibhuti is a specialty of Bhagavan Sri Satya Sai Baba. Not only bestows good health, but in a wonderful manner, fulfills other needs also. Patterson was a very successful businessman in Canada. He travels all over the world in connection with his business. One of the One of such travels, he came to India, met with Dr. Balakrishna, son of Professor Bhagavatam. Dr. Balakrishna invited him to his home. The residence was decorated like a temple in the middle of a puja days. There was a throne on which a beautiful photograph of Swami was placed. Patterson was quite impressed and inquired whose picture it was. Dr. Balakrishna told him about Baba and his divine powers, his love and compassion, and how he incarnated in answers to prayer of devout and saintly persons of immense to bringing of deliverances of humanity. As Patterson heard about Baba, his interest grew. He also felt very pleased. He asked Dr. Balakrishna for something like a memento or token, so that it would be able to serve or remind him constantly about Sri Sathya Sai Baba. He probably expected a photograph or picture of Swami, but Dr. Balakrishna thought of something more precious. He felt that the best memento of Swami would be Baba's Vibhuti, so he gave Patterson a small packet of it. Patterson felt somewhat dismayed and asked, "Ashes? Do you give me ashes to remind me of this great yogi?" Dr. Balakrishna gently explained. "These are no ordinary ashes, it's divine vibhuti. It's priceless and valuable. If you get into some serious trouble and you think Swami's compassion alone can put you in your just put a little bit in your mouth and pray to him." Patterson returned by air to New York via London. He was giving a seat among women and children. They were making horrible disturbance and noise as he felt unduly disturbed and very uncomfortable. As the aircraft was nearing London, he suddenly remembered the packet of vibhuti Dr. Balakrishna's description of virtues. He immediately opened the pack, placed a little holy powder on his tongue, and earnestly prayed to Sri Satya Sai. He asked Baba to see that he has provided a more comfortable seat, at least on his onward journey from London to New York. When he had landed in London, he was surprised to hear his name on the public announcement system. The announcement mentioned him by name and directed him to go to the airline's office immediately. When he reached there, he was told that he was allotted a seat in first class on London New York flight. He was immensely pleased and offered to pay extra charges. The officer on duty told him to his utter surprise that the additional fare had already been paid off on his behalf. Patterson's heart leaped just by consuming a little peck of Baba's vibhuti and remembering his name of Baba. He could get Baba's helping hands thousands of miles away and have his wish fulfilled. He's moved away by Baba's mercy and love. How wondrous is this potency of Baba's vibhuti! It's not only a holiest one, but also cures my ailment, however chronic it is. It has the potency to fulfill any desire of ardent devotee. What a miraculous one! Let's daily use it with love and devotion. Paramam pavitram bhava vibhutim, paramam vichitram lila vibhutim, paramam ishtitra moksha pradhanam, bhava vibhuti idamashami. Our humblest homage to the embodiment of love and compassion. End of chapter 13.
Sairam, chapter 14, Divine Miracles Beyond Boundaries. Whoever you are mine. I will not give you up. Wherever you are near me. You cannot go beyond my reach, Baba. I pulled the wires of this puppet show. Wherever you may be, remember that the string attached to your leg is in my hand, said Sri Sai Baba of Shirdi. Sri Satya Sai Baba is demonstrating that he is using the strings to draw people to his feet, like drawing little sparrows. The eternal Savior. John Hislop and the image of Jesus. This is the story of Dr. John Hislop of Mexico. Ever since his 16th year, he was attracted to spiritual pursuits. He was an earnest aspirant, that is sadhaka, who was deeply engaged in the search for truth. He came into contact with eminent personalities and spiritual thinkers like Dr. Annie Besant, Jiddu Krishnamurti, Paramahamsa Yogananda, Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, Swami Shivananda, and experts in the Buddhist system of Vipassana, and for years progressed in the path of spiritual inquiry, following their guidance. But at the end of it all, he realized that the sweet fountain of love in his Western heart had gone dry, and it held now nothing but dreadful emptiness. In 1968, he heard of, for the first time about Sri Satya Sai Baba, came down to Puttaparthi and had his darshan. At the very first sight of Baba, he sensed that he was the root of all spiritual wisdom and awareness. He clearly felt that God Himself had entered his heart as love, and the abiding love was truly Baba. As a result of his elevating experience, he could develop the rich insight of viewing the whole universe as suffused with love. On the eve of Shivaratri in 1973, Baba took Hislop and some others into the Bandipur forest in the district of Mysore. By about noon, they reached the guest house in the forest. At dusk, with the help of some forest dwellers who acted as guides, they walked a long distance until they reached the sands of a mountain stream. They sat in the sandbed of the river for rest. Swami picked up two small green branches of a bush, placed one across the other in his palm, and asked Hislop what it was. Hislop said it was the cross. Swami closed his palms over it and gently blew 3 times on it. When he opened his palms, the cross bore the image of Jesus. He gave it to Hislop and said, "This is exactly how Jesus Christ looked at the moment he gave up his life. It does not look at all as imagined by painters or as described by writers. He had no food for 8 days. His stomach was empty and drawn inwards. His body became dry and his ribs became prominently noticeable. Hislop stared at the cross in speechless wonder. Baba went on, "This cross is actually made out of the same wood of the original cross in which Jesus was crucified. It took me some time to search for and find that 2000 years old wood. Every bit of the original cross had disintegrated and merged with the constituent elements. I had therefore to gather these elements, and when I had collected enough to make this cross, materialized it. The image of Jesus, as you see on this cross, is the same as the one at the time of his death." After a few weeks, Hislop and his wife went back to Mexico. As the image on the cross was very tiny, the facial features of Jesus were not clearly visible. Walter Wolf, one of Hislop's friends, took several color photographs of the image of Jesus, part by part, enlarged them, and made a larger picture out of them. The finished picture was extraordinarily touching, arousing boundless kindness and compassion. The photographs were all arranged on a table so as to reveal the intricate and minute carving on the image. Viewers wondered at the creative power of Bhagwan Sri Satya Sai. Until the day, the sky was absolutely clear all along the Mexican coast. But all of a sudden, without any warning, a terrible lightning flashed amidst dark clouds. Strong winds gathered speed in a few moments and threatened to smash the window panes. Door curtains were flying. In the midst of this chaos that developed all of a sudden, Mrs. Hislop recalled, "It is now 5 p.m. and today is Friday. the same day and time of Christ's death by crucifixion. What is happening now before our very eyes had been described in the Bible too. She produced a copy of the Holy Book and read the relevant section. At the moment Jesus died on the cross, there was a great storm with thunder and lightning filling the sky. The decorated hangings of the pictures and photographs on the wall in the temple flew away. Everyone present there in the home of Islam felt delighted at witnessing a phenomenon too wonderful for their imagination. On the next day, the San Diego Tribune reported the heavy storm that had suddenly occurred quite unexpectedly. Hislop and his friends felt that there must be some sort of relation between the sudden recurrence of the out of season storm that had reportedly occurred 2000 years ago and the cross materialized by Bhagavan Sai Baba. When Dr. Panibanda reported this incident to Swami, he confirmed that the incidents had actually occurred and that they were truly related as guessed by Hislop and his friends. Jai Sai Ram. समस्तलोका सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्तलोका सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्तलोका सुखिनो भवन्तु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति